I don't even know what's going on anymore. The stock market is crashing. It's down so much. I pull up my portfolio, I open my phone, I look at my account. It's down so much money in the morning. I look back at it later in the day. It's back up way more than where it started. Things are all over the place. People are worried about losing all their money. They're maxed out on margin. But meanwhile, billionaire investor, someone who doesn't need to worry about money at all, billionaire investor, CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, just announced that he's selling his first tweet ever. He's just sitting there. He's like, I'm going to sell my first tweet ever as an NFT, make probably millions of dollars. This is insane. So the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, he just came out. He decided that he's going to sell his first tweet ever as an NFT. The tweet is from over 15 years ago. And the tweet is, what it says is all it says is just setting up my Twitter. And that's all he is. He's selling that as an NFT. For those of you who don't know, NFT is non-fungible token. He's selling that as an NFT. Last time I looked at it, the bid was $267,000. Let's check what it is right now. So that was like couple minutes ago. Let's refresh the page right now. Okay, it's still at $267,000 that he's selling this NFT for. Someone's going to get the rights to this. I mean, I'm expecting this to go for over millions of dollars, but what does this money even do for him? He's just sitting there with what's his net worth? His net worth is $13.4 billion. He's sitting there with all his money, and he decides one day, I want to sell this NFT. My first tweet ever, I'll just sell it for a couple million, a couple 100,000, whatever it ends up being. That money means nothing to him. $1 million is like $50 to one of you or me. It's nothing. When you're worth over $10 billion, this is worth nothing to him. A couple 100,000, a couple million. It doesn't do anything at all. It is such a small percentage of his net worth that it really, it means absolutely nothing. I guess he's just selling it because he can. He's just like, well, I could sell my first tweet ever as an NFT. You know, LeBron sold a dunk for $200,000, like a clip to a dunk. Grimes, the artist Grimes, sold a couple NFTs for about $6 million. Logan Paul sold NFTs for a couple $1 million. He's like, I bet I could one-up them. I'm going to sell my NFT. And I bet this one's going to go for way more than all these others because Twitter is a big platform. People love Twitter, and there's all these people with so much money, they don't know what to do with it. So they're probably going to be the people who are bidding on this NFT for the first tweet ever. But meanwhile, it's just people are sitting there. The stock market is crashing, and they don't know what to do. People are worried about money, and that brings us to the next topic of the video, which is the stock market. The stock market is not doing well. It has been like tanking, especially the NASDAQ, the high growth stocks. They have been tanking over the last couple of days, down about 10% from where they were at all-time highs a couple weeks back. And things are not looking good right now. Jim Cramer interviewed the other day. He was talking about how the sell-off is real. A lot of people they're not believing it. He said people are in denial right now about what's going on. He says, and it's going to keep going down, he says, until people really accept what is happening. He said people need to have some money on the side ready to put in so they can fish at the bottom. When things finally level out, they bottom out, we start seeing everything rise back up. People need to have money. And the problem is right now, a lot of people use Robinhood. They max out on margin, use more margin than they probably should be using. They've lost money now. They got margin called, and now they're going all in on their one favorite stock. And that's not the way to go. That's how you're going to lose everything. That's how you're going to hear these stories of people losing everything, even though in reality, the stock market will bounce back. It's a matter of when, but you want to be able to use this as an opportunity to take advantage of what is going on. So Jim Cramer, he goes on to explain how people are in denial right now. And there's 5 stages of grief. And the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. He said we are still in the denial phase. People don't accept what's going on. And until we accept that this is real, the sell-off is real, well, then we're probably going to see it continue to drop. And the scary part is the NASDAQ has dropped about 7 to 10%, but the Dow Jones is barely down anything at all. It's barely down anything from where it was. If we look at it compared to the NASDAQ, it's actually up. The Dow Jones from where it was a month ago. It's up about 0.5%, almost 1% from where it was a month ago. And if we really see a sell-off, we're going to see all of these come down. We're probably going to see the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ, all of them are going to come down significantly because the Dow Jones has not come down at all yet. And really all of this was driven, the market correction, crash, whatever you want to call it, all of it was driven by Jerome Powell the other day. He came out, he spoke about what's going on in the market, interest rates for the future, and right now the 10-year Treasury yield jumped to a high of 1.62%. Most of the day it was around 1.57%. That was the highest it had been all the past week, the week of, the first week of March 2021. On top of this, on top of the 10-year Treasury note, also, we got a jobs report from the Labor Department for the month of February 2021, and this was actually better than people expected. People were expecting 210,000 jobs added, jobs gained, but actually we got almost double that with 379,000 jobs gained. So that was great news, but people are worried about the yields, the Treasury yields getting higher and higher, and these are going to present a lot of headwinds for the speculative tech sector stocks that have been on a lot of people's portfolios and the ones that have been hit the hardest recently. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But the thing is no one knows how long this is going to happen for, how long this correction, crash, or whatever you want to call it is going to take. We know the market's not going to zero. We know it's going to come back. It's a matter of when and how long it's going to take. So make sure you have some money on the side so you can be ready. You could buy things that you like that are at great prices, great deals that we haven't seen in months. You can get in on those companies that are solid companies that you really like. Now is a great opportunity to get into those because those are the ones that are going to bounce back the fastest. The really speculative companies, people are probably going to stick away for those for a while because, let's say you're generating $30 million in revenue and you're valued at $5 billion. Like, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I get that these companies have, great outlooks for the future, but there is a bit of a disconnect there on valuation, especially when we're seeing the market trend downwards. It's going to be important to be in those companies that have significant cash flows, significant amount of revenue, and are the solid companies. So make sure to keep an eye on that. We don't know how long this is going to take. I'm not saying the market's going to crash. I'm just telling you guys, the 10-year Treasury yields are higher than they've been. We're getting more stimulus passed. The economy's looking good, but there's a lot going on right now that you need to just keep an eye out for the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. And here's another story for you. So real estate brokerage Compass, they just filed for an IPO, and they've been killing it the last year or so with the boom in housing prices. So Compass is a online real estate brokerage firm with more than 19,000 agents across the country. Their revenue jumped over 50% from 2019 to 2020. But the one thing is filing for an IPO now, it sort of happened at the worst time. I'm not going to lie. It's not a good time right now to have an IPO if the market's going down. When the market's going up, these companies get such high valuations. Things look really good for them. But when the market's going down, especially if it's a company like Compass where they are losing money every year, it's just a little harder. I'm not saying it's a bad company, not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a little harder because the net loss was $270.2 million for Compass in 2020 compared to $388 million loss in 2019. So the losses are decreasing significantly. But when you're looking at the market, and if companies are IPOing and they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, even if they're growing very quickly, in my opinion, I just think investors, when the market is going down, are going to be a little more hesitant to put money into those sorts of companies. When the market's going down, I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking at just the value plays, look at the solid companies that have been around for a while that have really, really bright outlooks for the future. But we'll have to keep an eye out on this. But either way, Compass, their major competitor to Zillow. If you look at their website actually looks pretty similar to Zillow. I mean, I was looking at houses the other day. I was looking at Zillow, and this looks exactly the same. Like, their website really looks basically identical. Same colors, same design. I mean, Zillow obviously has other features, but it's very similar to Zillow. Zillow has around a $30 to $40 billion market cap. Compass, right now, their last round of funding was around a $9 billion market cap. So we'll have to wait and see what their valuation is, but they are a major competitor for a company like Zillow. And what makes them different is actually that their business model stems from its technological advances. They're really into the technology behind the company. Their tools allow real estate agents to better serve clients, number one, and manage their time better. So real estate agents on Compass, they close more than the average real estate agent across the U.S. does every single year. They close around 7.4 deals per year. This could be because real estate agents, there's so many real estate agents out there, and basically anyone could take the real estate, get the real estate license, or it could just be because Compass does have a substantial model, which I think they do have. I think they have a great model. I think they are a great company, but they are IPOing. We'll keep an eye out for what's going on with them over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. We don't have a confirmed IPO date yet. This is a company you want to keep on your watch list. See what happens with it when it does IPO. Let me know your thoughts on it. I like it. I think, depending on what the valuation is, I might invest in it right off the bat, see what happens. But they are growing. Real estate market is doing extremely well. House prices are going up. They're continuing to go up. Lower supplies right now than there were last year. Things are looking pretty good for the real estate industry. And Compass, even though the market right now is trending downwards, and usually that isn't the best time for a company to IPO. So we'll have to wait and see how those two things balance each other out. But another story for you guys is with UFC and DraftKings. UFC is one of the most exciting sports to watch. I mean, I watch this and it is really, really fun. I like it a lot. And what was just announced is that UFC announced a partnership with DraftKings. And now DraftKings is going to be the UFC's first ever official sports book and daily fantasy partner in the US and in Canada. And this is pretty significant because unlike a lot of the other sports out there, UFC is a year-long sport. There's no off-season. They plan and schedule fights all throughout the year. There's no off-season, and it's really a win-win situation for both UFC and for DraftKings. DraftKings now can use the UFC logo and use the UFC name on advertisements with the company. They have access to that. And the UFC gets the access to all the new customers and the audience that is on the DraftKings app. So let's say someone's on DraftKings. They normally use fantasy sports or sports betting for football or basketball. They might come across something for the UFC now on the DraftKings app, and it's going to attract people to become more interested, spend some money on UFC, fantasy sports betting, and I think it's going to be a pretty big deal for both of them. According to UFC president Dana White, he said this is a massive deal that'll benefit UFC, DraftKings, and most of all the fans, because he says DraftKings is the best at what they do in the betting and daily fantasy space. And he explains how UFC has no off-season, and this action will be non-stop for fans of UFC and DraftKings, and this is the most important deal that the UFC has ever done to increase engagement among their existing fan base and get new fans as well from the audience with DraftKings. So This deal is valued around $350 million. This partnership, it's a really, really important step in the right direction for the UFC, DraftKings. DraftKings has been literally all over the place. They have partnerships with the NFL, in the US and in Canada. They have partnerships now with the UFC. They have partnerships all across the board with a number of major sports. And if you're looking at sports betting, I mean, DraftKings is really... there has been nothing bad that I have seen come out on this company. Their revenue hit it out of the park. They did so much better than people were expecting in 2020. Their projections for 2021 looked amazing. They have all of the benefits of legalized sports betting in more and more states in the US. They have the deal now with the UFC, the deal with the NFL. Things are looking absolutely great for them. And after the recent drop off the stock has had with the market coming down, this could be a great opportunity to get in. They have a lot of partnerships, a lot of great deals. Their numbers are increasing. The government is pushing more for sports betting legalization. Really, I don't see much wrong with this company right now. Obviously, there are risks, but if you're looking at the risk reward, so many things are going right for DraftKings right now with their partnerships, with the government, with just everything right now. Looks like it's going extremely well for the DraftKings and the UFC benefiting from them. I mean, this is great for the UFC as well. It's a win-win situation in my book. At least that's what I'm thinking. Switching gears a bit though, away from stocks. Elon Musk has been talking about Mars for a while now, colonizing Mars, but scientists, they're saying that this is going to be a mistake. They said it's unrealistic for Elon Musk to accomplish his crazy goal as soon as he's saying by 2026 that humans will land on Mars. And he's confident about it. I wouldn't bet against Elon Musk ever. He's not someone you want to bet against. He'll have the craziest idea you could ever think of, but he'll make it happen. So even though scientists are saying that they're saying this is a little crazy, this is an unrealistic thing, and it could be dangerous, I wouldn't bet against Elon Musk. I mean, I know scientists they're experts in this field, but Elon Musk is an expert in so many fields. He works with experts, works with people who are experts in all of these different fields, and they're not sending people up there to die. Like the people who they send up there, these rockets, they're testing constantly. And, they're working things out, working the little tweaks out, and they're going to make sure that these things are working 100% before they send people. Obviously, anything could happen, but Elon Musk getting humans to land on Mars by 2026, in my book, it seems crazy, but I think it definitely can happen, especially with his track record. When you have a track record like his, I mean, you just can't simply bet against the guy. It's just anything he starts, no matter how crazy, you got to realize that there is a good chance that it's going to happen. Maybe not 2026, maybe 2028, but it's going to happen. If he wants it to happen, he has enough money, enough smarts, enough execution to be able to make it happen. I believe it's going to happen. But speaking of rockets going to Mars, what's going on there? Elon Musk and his company SpaceX, they had a bit of an issue the other day. Not just a bit of an issue, it was a pretty big issue actually, and that is that SpaceX's prototype rocket called Starship, it was SN10, serial number 10. It had a successful landing for the first time ever. First time ever this had a successful landing for a high altitude flight. It went to 32,800 feet, returned, landed on a concrete pad, and it landed, it did everything it was supposed to do until about 8 minutes after. And 8 minutes after, you can see right here, it landed nicely. It was a great flight. But 8 minutes after it landed, things went wrong, let's just say. So it was like a good news, bad news situation, but it landed. Everyone was very excited. This was the first time it's ever done it ever landed successfully. But you can see it was still smoking for a while after, and it makes sense. There's so much energy, so much power in these rockets to get them to fly to space. But then that happened. Like, it just exploded. Luckily, no one was hurt, but that doesn't look good at all. I mean, if I'm looking at that, I am shocked that no one was injured. It's very lucky that no one was injured, because that thing has a lot of energy behind it, and it just shot shrapnel all over the place from a massive, massive rocket that's the size of a building, and it just exploded into millions of pieces. So the funny thing about this story, there's nothing funny about, a rocket exploding, but the thing that I find amusing is with Elon Musk, he never calls it an explosion, but looking at that video, it's obvious that thing is an explosion. I mean, who can say that this isn't an look at that. Who can say that isn't an explosion? I mean, Elon Musk, all he says is that he doesn't call it an explosion. He says it's a rapid, unscheduled disassembly, an RUDs. And I find that so funny. Like, this is obviously an explosion, but he's like, no, it's a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. He's like, we didn't schedule it, but it disassembled very quickly. And it wasn't an explosion. I mean, maybe it's just a positive mindset. Maybe he doesn't want to think it explodes. I don't know, but it's obviously an explosion. He calls it an RUD, a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. Either way, good news was it landed successfully, first time ever. Bad news was it exploded. But they are going to be getting more rockets out very, very soon. That was serial number 10. They have an SN11. That's going to be ready within the next couple of months. Like, we're going to see another rocket do another test run, get, back up into space, high altitude. They're just constantly testing these things, constantly getting more and more rockets built, because they're trying to perfect it. And the only way you can perfect anything is trying it time and time again, working out the tweaks. That's what they're doing with these rockets. And it was a successful mission. They did a lot right there, but it did explode. So ultimately, I would say, bottom line is, it did what they wanted it to accomplish, landed successfully, but it did explode. So in my book, it seems like a failure still. They called it a success, but it seems like a failure, because if there was someone actually in that, they wouldn't have made it. It wouldn't have been good. Luckily, there was no one in it. It was all, controlled remotely, but either way, that was a very, very interesting story from Elon Musk. His company SpaceX, what is going on there? We'll be looking to see another rocket out pretty soon. But speaking of space, another story I read, which was really interesting, is with scientists observing a wild space hurricane above Earth for the first time ever in history. They thought they existed, but they had never, ever observed it. And this is the first time it was ever recorded, ever observed, of a wild space hurricane. I'm from Florida, and hurricanes are normal. Like Category 1, you're going to school still. In high school, middle school, lower school, you're going to school basically in a Category 1. Category 2 is nothing too crazy either. Once you start getting Category 3, then it starts getting serious. At least, that's how a lot of people I knew were. Like, I knew people who were surfing in Category 1. But space hurricanes are nothing like hurricanes on Earth. Like, according to the scientists, they said that this space hurricane is made up of swirling plasma, and it rained electrons. That does not sound safe. That doesn't sound good at all. It sounds actually pretty bad. And they said until now, scientists weren't 100% certain about plasma hurricanes, if they even existed. So they said this observation is proof that they do exist, and they probably exist much more. They probably happen much more than scientists initially thought. It's probably happening a lot on other planets, on Earth. Like, it's probably happening a lot more than people realize. Maybe not on Earth, but on other planets, it's happening. So this is a pretty big development. Interesting story. It did happen a while back, but they're just releasing the reports on it now. So we will see what continues to develop here. If we get any new, developments, any new space hurricanes, maybe they'll start, giving them like category 1, category 2, like they do on Earth. Who knows? But it was the first time ever, and it's going to be pretty memorable that they did discover and observe this space hurricane. Now on to some tech stuff. Tech news with the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch has been out for about 4 years now, and now is the time that they're finally talking about making some pretty significant upgrades. One of these is going to be that there are rumors that in 2021 they're going to be releasing a 7-inch OLED model with a possible 4K gaming when docked. So that's a pretty big step up from what it currently is, and I think it's going to do extremely well. So the first Nintendo Switch debuted 4 years ago. It's killed it ever since, done amazing. 2 years ago, they released a less expensive, more affordable model called the Switch Lite. And during all of this, sales of the Nintendo Switch have been skyrocketing, and the Nintendo Switch is really doing extremely, extremely well, and the sales could eventually catch up to the Wii. They've already sold more systems than the Nintendo 3DS, still behind the Wii, but I feel like every single kid you see has a Nintendo Switch. It's really the next sort of gaming platform. It's like PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. Now, if they have a 4K, it just levels it up even more. Right now, they said that there are rumors that Nintendo Switch has been talking with developers to make games that can be used in 4K. They have the software and capabilities to be 4K. So with all of these talks going on, I think we'll definitely see a 4K, if not this year, next year. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And I think probably in 2021, we have been hearing a lot of rumors about it. And this will be exciting for a lot of people. We're going to probably see these sell out, sell a lot of them, just like we saw at the PlayStation 5. That was a really big thing as well. On to some other tech news and software is with Tesla. So a surprising announcement came from UBS analyst, and he said that Tesla could become one of the most valuable software companies in the world. Tesla, they're already the most valuable car company by far. They've been the most valuable car company for a long time now. They've passed GM a long time ago, Ford, Toyota, they've passed all of them. And now UBS is saying they could easily become the most valuable software company for a couple of key reasons. So this is important, first of all, because he raised his price target from $325 a share, more than doubled it to $730 a share. No matter what price you're looking at Tesla right now, it's fluctuating all over the place with the market. But no matter what price you're looking at, this upgrade is important because he more than doubled his price target on it. This analyst, his name is Patrick Hummel, and he said that software is likely the next battleground in the global car industry, and no other car maker is closer to fully monetize autonomous driving for everyday use than Tesla. Tesla's been working on this for the longest. They have the most miles driven using their vehicles. More miles driven means they have more data. More data means their autonomous driving will be better. Autonomous driving leads to robo-taxis. It's just a cycle where Tesla has so many first mover advantages, so many competitive advantages now in the self-driving space that it's going to be hard for the other companies to catch up anytime soon. So He explained how he sees about $20 billion being generated in operating profit for Tesla by 2025, with $9 billion of that coming from software, mostly from self-driving software, compared to about $1 billion from software this year. So he sees the software business nearly 10xing over the next 4 to 5 years. He goes on to explain how robo-taxi fleet will be massive. That is a $1 trillion opportunity. Total addressable market is $1 trillion for that space. And Tesla should be the first company. They're most likely going to be the first company with robo-taxi, with a robo-taxi fleet out there. In addition to just self-driving robo-taxis, he also goes on to explain how they also could be making money with software from entertainment systems inside the car. They said it's an opportunity for them to use like something like a Spotify or something with the entertainment system like a Netflix inside the car on the screen. They can sell other softwares that, whether it's $2 a month, 99 cents a month, $5 a month. There's a lot of opportunities they could have to add more software into the car that is on a subscription basis, and that's going to lead to just recurring revenue for years and years to come. And they already have a lot of this technology. They already have competitive advantages, and that's why he gave this, Tesla such a massive increase in the price target, more than double, from $325 a share to $730 a share. So Tesla's on a roll. And another story with Tesla, speaking of them, India made a pretty big promise to Tesla, and they said that they promised Tesla that they would have the lowest production cost out of any country in the whole world if Tesla and Elon Musk move manufacturing facility, production facility into India. And this was a pretty bold claim, in my opinion. I think, they're promising something that they don't really know. You can't be 100% sure that they could have the lowest cost. But according to the transport minister, he said that rather than assembling cars in India, Tesla should make the entire product in India by hiring local vendors. Then India can give them higher concessions, lower costs, and better incentives for the company to actually be in India. He specifically said the government will make sure the production cost for Tesla will be the lowest when compared to other countries in the world, even China. When they start manufacturing cars in India, we will assure that. That is just a really bold claim, in my opinion, for them to make. Obviously, any country in the world wants Tesla to be doing business there. Massive company, billions of dollars in revenue, billions of dollars in tax dollars and other sorts of revenue for all of these countries. It's going to lead to a lot of money for them. So any country in the world is going to want Tesla, and they're going to do whatever they can to get them to start building production facilities in their countries. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But there are a couple of key issues and key challenges with doing this in India for Tesla. So one of them is that India, their EV market is extremely small right now. Like the EV market in India accounted for just 5,000 cars out of the total 2.4 million cars sold in India last year. So 5,000 were electric versus 2.3955 million cars which were gasoline and combustion engine. So that's one challenge. The next challenge is that Tesla, they already have facilities in China. And China, they sold 1.25 million new energy passenger vehicles. So that, that includes EVs. They sold 1.25 million of those in China out of total China sales of around 20 million cars. So there's a lot more volume being done in China. And that's a pretty big deal. On top of this, India doesn't have the EV policies in place that China has, and they don't have as much experience. So while the benefits that they're offering to Tesla are low production costs it still might not be enough to get Tesla to go in there, to go over there. They are looking to do something in India, but whether they're going to be building a big factory there, I don't know for sure. It could be a really good move for Tesla to get in on the market in India before it really starts to grow. Only 5,000 cars were electric last year in India that were sold in India out of 2.4 million. So, could be a really great opportunity to get in early, but also Tesla's trying to focus on China as well. China has 20 million cars sold a year, and they want to make sure they can get those cheap as possible into China. And one way to do that is to actually manufacture them in China. Another benefit, though, of being in India is that India could be an export hub. They have about 80% of components for lithium-ion batteries are made locally in India. So that's a pretty big cost for these vehicles that they would get for much cheaper if they were to build it in India. So a lot of, there's some upsides, some downsides. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but either way, we know Tesla needs to ramp up production. They're going to be building more factories. It's just a matter of where, just a matter of when, but we know we're going to see some more of these happen. So we'll have to just wait and see, unfortunately. Something else going on in China is a major Chinese Bitcoin mining hub is shutting down its cryptocurrency operations for good. And where this is China's Inner Mongolia region. They plan to ban new cryptocurrency mining projects and shut down all existing ones in a bid to cut down on energy consumption. And this is something that came up recently with Tesla when Tesla put in, Tesla and Elon Musk put about $1 billion into Bitcoin. This argument came up then as well. But the argument is that Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining consumes an estimated 128.84 terawatt hours per year of energy, which is more than entire countries consume, such as, and they're like big countries. It's not like we're talking about like a super small country and how much energy they consume. We're talking about countries like Ukraine, Argentina, and other major countries consume less energy than Bitcoin mining. And the problem is, I don't know if it's a problem, but the challenge is that China accounts for 65% of all Bitcoin mining done globally, and Inner Mongolia accounts for 8% of the total Bitcoin mining globally around the world because of its cheap energy. So that's a really big portion, 8% in Inner Mongolia. Inner Mongolia isn't like, it's not like a massive place. Like if you're looking at the US, they make up about 7.2% of global Bitcoin mining. So Inner Mongolia does more Bitcoin mining than the US, and the US is by far, you would expect the U.S. to do more Bitcoin mining than Inner Mongolia. It's due to the cheap energy prices. But either way, Inner Mongolia now no longer will have Bitcoin mining. They're shutting down all existing operations and banning any new ones from coming up there. It was part of an agreement that happened in 2019. So Inner Mongolia, they failed to meet the central government assessment targets regarding energy use. They were consuming way too much energy in 2019. They were scolded by Beijing. The government did not like what was happening there. So in response to this, they put a plan in place that shut down all existing cryptocurrency mining projects by 2021 and April of 2021, and no more will be approved. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here as Bitcoin price gets higher and higher, as there's less and less Bitcoin that are available to be mined, because there is a limited supply. Remember, there is 21 Bitcoin that will ever be mined. So as that supply gets smaller and smaller that's left, it gets more and more expensive to mine Bitcoin, and it gets to be very expensive. Like when you're looking at these where they mine Bitcoin, it's essentially just buildings and buildings full of supercomputers, essentially. It looks like this. It's just a bunch of electronics hooked up, consuming so much energy, and it's mining Bitcoin. They need to have supercomputers. Algorithms get harder, gets more expensive, and they just have warehouses full of this. So we'll have to wait. Like, Bitcoin mining isn't going away, but it's going to have to transition probably to different places around the world until all 21 million are mined, because as long as there's an opportunity to make money with it, people are going to be continuing to mine Bitcoin. But another piece of Bitcoin news is with the price target. Kraken CEO says that Bitcoin will eventually reach a global currency, will eventually be a global currency, and it will reach a price target of $1 million in the next 10 years, and that is very reasonable for it to do. And this is one of the highest price targets I've heard of from a CEO of a pretty big company. A lot of people are saying 500,000 is where they see Bitcoin's price going. Cathie Wood, the CEO of ARK Invest, she said that she sees Bitcoin reaching $500,000. Her reasoning was, at $500,000, Bitcoin would have the same market cap as gold. So being at $1 million for Bitcoin, per Bitcoin, that would mean that it's twice the market cap of gold. With everything going on in the market, a lot of fluctuation, inflation going on, a lot of uncertainty with currencies all around the world, I think it is very possible to see people start putting more and more money into Bitcoin because it is uncorrelated to any global currency. It's not correlated to any specific government, any specific country. It's uncorrelated to all of that. And for that reason, I think we could see a lot of people starting to put more money into Bitcoin. It's starting to get much more adoption. Major financial companies have been putting money into Bitcoin, like Square. Some of the largest and oldest banks have put money into it. So as we see more large institutions put money in, people are going to get more comfortable to put money in. And with all of the uncertainty in the markets, with inflation, what's going on in countries all around the world, it's just going to be nudging people along, pushing people more to put money into Bitcoin, and that's just going to continue to drive the price up. Will it reach $1 million? Who knows? That's a pretty high price target, but it is very possible. You can't say no, because it is very possible for it to do. If you look at the market cap of what it would be, it would be very high, but it is a possibility that you can't rule out just yet. Here's another one for you guys. Story on GM. GM is close to building their second EV battery factory in the US. And this makes sense. They need to build, you need to have these batteries in order to make more vehicles. And GM, they recently announced that they vowed to spend $27 billion on the development and production of 30 new electric vehicles by 2025. So if you're getting 30 new electric vehicles within the next 4 years, and you're pushing to have all electric vehicles very soon, you need to have these batteries, and you cannot have a shortage of them, because if you have a shortage of these batteries, you can't make the cars. You can't sell cars without the batteries for electric vehicles. One of the major ones that GM that really caught my eye, at least, I don't know about you guys, but was that GM electric Hummer. It looks pretty cool. It's a beast, but I think it looks great. And it's going to be available in the fall of this year, 2021. People are already put orders in for it. It looks great. We're going to have to wait and see how it actually functions, how it goes. But out of all of the 30 vehicles that I've seen, out of all the vehicles that GM has announced, their electric vehicles and their plans, this Hummer is definitely the one that has been attracting the most people, because the Hummer was discontinued. They brought it back, and it looks pretty cool, honestly. It looks really cool, in my opinion. So I'll have to wait and see what happens there. But this factory would be the second battery it would be the second EV battery factory for GM in the US. Currently, they have one that they're working on in collaboration with LG Chem, which is a South Korean battery maker. They're already working on they already have a factory with them in northern Ohio. And the second factory that they're looking on to make would be in potentially Tennessee. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but what we do know is that a decision is expected sometime in the first half of 2021, and they are going to continue to partner with LG Chem. They're already working on doing batteries with them, and they're going to continue to do it in the new factory. LG Chem is one of the largest suppliers for lithium-ion batteries in the world. They work with Audi, Mercedes-Benz. They work with a lot of major companies, and, you know, if GM wants to really push into electric vehicles, they need more batteries. They can't ever have a shortage. Only way to prevent having a shortage is you do it yourself. You partner with companies. You're actually working on the factories, building them out yourselves. And still, there could be delays, but the only way that they have more control over it and make sure that they get the supply they need is by really building another factory that's their own. So that's what I think, at least. I don't know, but let me know which of the GM electric cars do you guys like the best? I like that GM Hummer. I think it looks cool. I think it looks really great. But let me know. Now on to Square. Square is acquiring a significant majority of Jay-Z's music streaming app called Tidal in a $297 million deal. This is a pretty major deal. Again, $297 million is a lot of money. And right now, Tidal is a music streaming platform, and it's a competitor to Spotify. It's more expensive than Spotify, but the thing that they say differentiates it from its competitors, from, let's say, a company like Spotify, is the audio quality. A lot of people I know, and from everything I've heard about them, they say that the audio quality is much better, and they have some exclusive artists, exclusive songs on the Tidal app. I've never used it myself. I prefer Spotify. I think it is really easy. It's a very reasonable price. I do the premium. It's very easy, and I love it. I have like Bose headphones. I have in-ear Bose Sports Sound headphones, I think they're called. I think this sounds great. I've never used Tidal, so I couldn't tell you, but I do know Tidal is much more expensive, and for me, I don't know if it's worth it. But with this deal with Square, they spent $297 million. Jack Dorsey, he said that they're acquiring a majority stake in Tidal, and he said the first time that he ever saw the app, he loved what they were doing. He loved Jay-Z's wisdom, vision, and leadership. He thinks he's great, and he says he knew Tidal was something special as soon as he experienced it. So, like I said, this could be a very big win for Square. Right now, most people I know use Spotify. That's their go-to. But I feel like if Tidal can change up their marketing a bit, maybe if they can lower the price and get this out to more people, well, then they could be a major competitor to Spotify. Because right now, Spotify, there's Apple Music, but Apple Music is, I believe, the second closest. They are the closest competitor to Spotify, and Tidal has a chance of being up there. Spotify is worth billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, the market cap of it. So if Tidal can actually, grow, get bigger, use Square to really use it as a platform as like a springboard to get to the next level and actually compete toe-to-toe with Spotify, well, then this could be an amazing deal when we're looking back at it a couple years down the road. But it is a high risk, in my opinion, because Tidal, from the people I know, a lot of people do prefer Spotify just because it's easy, it's cheap, it has every song you could possibly think of. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Tidal, this was a pretty big acquisition, about $300 million for a majority stake in the company. So we'll see what happens there. But last piece of news for the day is with the housing market, which is bringing it full circle. And the housing market just lost more than 200,000 new listings. And there are roughly 207,000 fewer homes newly listed for sale in the first 2 months of 2021 compared to the average for the same period last year and over the last 4 years. So a lot of this is really due, what people are saying is it's due a lot to the cold fronts that we saw all across the nation this winter, with what happened in Texas, all across the board. There was a lot of cold fronts that's making people decide not to sell their homes, hold off on it for a while, hit the pause button on selling their homes. So right now, there's a lot less inventory for houses out there. If you're looking to buy a house, a lot less inventory. It's going to start driving the prices up even higher. Currently, prices are already up over 10% year over year, according to CoreLogic. And if we're continuing to see less houses being listed, the prices are going to continue to go up as long as we're still seeing that demand. And right now, the housing market's done extremely well. Throughout everything going on, the pandemic, the stock market, people want to move, to rural areas, let's say, have more space, because a lot of people can work remotely. People have wanted more space. A lot of people are selling where they do live to move to bigger places. So there's been a lot going on in the real estate market. It's expected to continue to do well this year, even with everything going on in the market. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But there are a lot fewer homes that are being listed for sale right now than previously over the last 4 years. So we'll wait and see what happens. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. But that's all I got for you guys for today's episode. We covered a lot of pretty interesting stuff. Let me know which topic was your favorite. And if you made it this far in the video, comment down below. Today we'll do, I think we did this last time, but comment down below a light bulb emoji. A light bulb emoji if you made it this far in the video. And don't forget to get your 4 free stocks, each valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one.